This one here is my copy of Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night over the Rhone, which he painted in 1888. He was living in Arles in the Yellow House before Gauguin had arrived, and it was at a time when he was thinking Gauguin may well not be arriving after all. His plan had been that he was setting up a studio of artists and that Gauguin would be there and it would all be marvellous, but Gauguin was showing some reluctance, so his thoughts were turning to rather darker possibilities, and he recently had news from his brother Theo that he had syphilis and he wasn't getting any better. Certainly he'd had a turn for the worse with his health. And so he was pondering deeper issues, and he was looking for an art that could provide a sense of consolation, that Wagner had described his music as providing. And Van Gogh wanted to achieve something of that nature in his art. So he started a painting of Christ, I think under a starry sky in the Garden of Gethsemane, which hadn't worked out, and so he ditched it. But he found, the stars to him had some kind of, long-term significance from his childhood and his, his wanderings at night, and they were a good subject for contemplation generally, and I think he was definitely wanting to use a starry night in his painting. So the one of Christ in the Garden of Gethsemane didn't work out, obviously. So he thought he'd try and achieve that same sort of mood by using a night sky, but without Christ's presence in it. So he took his easel and materials and went out, not close to where he was living, to paint a view of the Rhone under a night sky, under a gaslight actually, which provided pretty minimal illumination, but he thought the better way to approach the subject, it would get a better response to it. He'd also tried, he did a portrait of Eugène Gogh, known as the poet, that painting, and he had a night sky as the backdrop to this portrait, which was essentially a head and shoulders. He also used the night sky in his painting of the cafe, the Starry Night, the cafe. I can't remember what it was called, but it's a very well-known image where there's this very yellowish canopy coming out over some tables outside a cafe, and there's a night sky above that. But he wanted something more profound than that, I suppose. So with this image, he painted in situ. He painted the night sky over the Rhone with the stars. I think it was the Ursa Major, constellation which he used. I think he achieved the sort of redemptive. He was looking for some sort of redemptive quality in his art, but he was following in his mind, following very much in the footsteps of an artist called Monticelli, who lived in. Who was a very good painter, colourist, and he used quite thick paint as well, the way Van Gogh did. He lived in Marseille and succumbed to drink and madness and died before his time. Van Gogh was seeking these sort of qualities of consolation in the use of, rather than, he'd failed in his attempt to use Christ in in an image with the night sky, and he was using the stars and the big infinite canopy of the night sky and the twinkling stars that represented him, some kind of hope, possibilities, light in the night sky, light in the darkness, all that kind of stuff.